Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a topic that absolutely fascinates me: 15 historical mysteries that challenge literally everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Now, history is packed with incredible discoveries. And sure, modern technology has definitely solved its fair share of puzzles. But there are still some artifacts and structures out there that just completely baffle archaeologists. I mean, they leave researchers scratching their heads to this day. So it really makes you wonder, have we actually lost pieces of history? It's just so easy for us in the modern era to look back and assume ancient peoples were, just primitive. But what if they were far more advanced than we ever imagined? Are we the ones missing crucial pieces of the puzzle when it comes to human development? Well, that is the exact mystery we're going to unravel today. And instead of just reading off a random list of facts, we'll be investigating these mysteries through four main pillars. First, technology ahead of time. Second, impossible ancient engineering. Third, uncrackable codes and messages. And finally, rethinking human history. Okay, let's jump right into part one, technology ahead of time. These are the discoveries that, quite honestly, just shouldn't exist yet. Picture this. It's 1901, and divers exploring a shipwreck off the coast of Greece discover this heavily corroded bronze device. It was unlike anything ever seen from the ancient world. This thing dates back more than 2,000 years and contains dozens of incredibly precise, handcrafted gears. Scientists actually believe it was used to predict astronomical events, eclipses, and planetary movements. It is so complex that many experts literally call it the world's first analog computer. Just think about that for a second. Meanwhile, over near Baghdad, archaeologists uncovered these completely unassuming clay jars. But when they looked inside, they contained copper cylinders and iron rods. Now known as the Baghdad Battery, there is a fierce ongoing debate about what these actually were. Some researchers suggest these materials could have produced small amounts of electricity, way before we thought electricity was even harnessed. Others think they served an entirely different purpose. But the fact that we're still debating it today is just fascinating. And talk about a blow to our modern egos. Let's look at Roman concrete. There's this deep irony here. Ancient Roman harbors are still standing strong after 2 millennia, right? Meanwhile, our modern concrete often crumbles and deteriorates in mere decades. Scientists eventually figured out that Roman builders used a very specific mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. This created a chemical formula that actually gets stronger over time as it interacts with the water. Researchers are quite literally still studying this ancient recipe to try and fix our modern engineering problems. Which leads us perfectly into section 2, impossible ancient engineering. We're talking about moving massive stones without modern machines. Because this megalithic mastery, it wasn't just an isolated incident, it was a global phenomenon. In southern England, you've got 25-ton stones dragged over incredible distances to build Stonehenge. Over on Easter Island, 80-ton Moai statues were somehow hoisted up. Down in Peru, the Sacsayhuaman walls were fit together so tightly that you can't even slide a blade of grass between them. And from the razor-sharp precision cuts at Pumapunku in Bolivia to the massive hand-carved Longyu caves in China, humanity was literally achieving the impossible. What's especially wild about the Longyu caves, by the way, is that despite millions of cubic meters of rock being carved out, there is absolutely zero rubble found outside, and zero historical records explaining how it was done. No way, right? So, the big question staring us right in the face. How? How exactly did ancient islanders transport 80-ton monuments without modern machinery or even wheels? How did they move the Stonehenge megaliths? This remains a massively active area of research simply because the sheer logistics required to pull this off are almost unimaginable to us today. And of course, you absolutely cannot talk about impossible engineering without bringing up the Great Pyramid of Giza. This marvel held the title of the tallest man-made structure on planet Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Now, historians do understand a lot about how the pyramids were built, for sure. But the exact specific construction techniques used to move and position millions of these massive stone blocks with such unbelievable precision, yeah, researchers are still fiercely debating that one. All right, moving on to section 3, uncrackable codes and messages. These are the ancient texts and symbols that we still can't decipher. To truly appreciate this stuff, we really have to reset our entire concept of time. Take a look at Göbekli Tepe, discovered in modern-day Turkey. This site is more than 11,000 years old. That means it predates the pyramids and Stonehenge by thousands and thousands of years. And crucially, it was built before agriculture even became widespread. Discovering this site has completely forced archaeologists to fundamentally rethink how early human societies organized themselves, communicated, and built these massive projects. Fast forward a bit in time, and we hit mysteries of a totally different flavor. Enter the Voynich manuscript. This is widely considered one of history's greatest literary mysteries. It's a whole book filled with strange illustrations of unknown plants, bizarre diagrams, and it is written in a completely unidentified script. It's honestly mind-blowing to realize that this illustrated book has resisted every single serious attempt to translation by the absolute best codebreakers in the world. To this day, nobody knows who wrote it or what it actually says. Sometimes, these messages from the past come in entirely different scales. On one hand, you have the Nazca lines in Peru. These stretch for hundreds of meters across the desert floor, featuring giant drawings of birds, monkeys, spiders, and geometric shapes. But they are only really visible from the sky. Their exact purpose is still uncertain, though it was likely ceremonial. On the other hand, you have the Dead Sea Scrolls. These were intimate, ancient manuscripts that profoundly transformed our understanding of early Judaism and biblical texts. And while much of it has been translated, researchers are still fiercely studying both of these incredible discoveries for hidden meanings. Which brings us to our final section, Part 4, Rethinking Human History. It's all about separating fact from fiction in modern archaeology. Back in 1974, Chinese farmers stumbled upon the Terracotta Army. We are talking about thousands of life-sized clay soldiers guarding the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. But here's the most incredible detail. Remarkably, no two faces are exactly alike. Can you imagine the amount of work? This perfectly showcases the massive organization, the endless resources, and just the spectacular artistic skill of ancient empires. The sheer scale of this single project continues to amaze historians today. But hey, rethinking history also means we have to follow the science, even when it kind of ruins a good mystery. Case in point, the crystal skulls. For a long time, several of these were paraded around as ancient artifacts, with mysterious, almost supernatural origins. But modern scientific analysis actually suggests that many of them were carved much more recently using modern tools that absolutely were not available to ancient civilizations. It's a really great example of how historical debates attract immense attention and exactly why rigorous scientific analysis is so crucial. So, what is the ultimate takeaway from all these mysteries? Well, it boils down to this. Ancient civilizations were often far more skilled, organized, and innovative than many people once believed. Almost every single archaeological discovery we've looked at today cements the fact that our ancestors were anything but primitive. They were master engineers, brilliant astronomers, and deeply, deeply complex thinkers. And that leaves us with a pretty massive, lingering question. While scientists have solved countless historical mysteries, so many questions are still out there, totally unanswered. As our own modern technologies continue to advance, what completely new understanding of the ancient world are we going to uncover next? What is still buried out there, right now, just waiting to rewrite our history books? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you next time.